And there is
behind the Shyvana, I would literally not be surprised. I'm not saying they should do it. If they do it, I think it would make a lot of sense. So I'm going to be looking at, especially for this Braum, to see if he's going to go for that kind of rotation. But as you said, very aggressive draft coming out from the side of SNG. It goes without saying. I'm mainly going to be looking out for redemption with this. I was going to call it Olaf, but no, that's not it. With the Xayah, I think that overall, if you're able to peel away properly up against this Braum, especially against the Lee Sin and also against the Malphite, that Feather Recall can be super impactful, like it was in the second BO3 series of the day. It was with Doom that did such a good work with that Xayah. So going to be looking out. But no invades. I was maybe expecting one to happen, but no, they are not going to be doing so. So off to a very, very passive start.
Yeah, and it looks like we are going to be getting that lane swap once again as well. Although not quite, actually. Rakan spending a little bit of time mid lane here instead of going to the Baron lane. Just trying to get a little bit of an advantage for the Twisted Fate here in the mid lane. So a very unique start here for the side of Singularity. As now Xayah recalling, they're going to be swapping lanes back. So yeah, a little bit of a change up for the side of Singularity as to what this early game is going to look like, but this is going to put them a little bit behind as well, because now obviously both the Fiora and the Xayah have spent a bit of time recalling and walking back to their lanes.
Yeah, they did lose potentially a little bit of CS along the way, but it's not going to heavily and negatively impact them. It's just going to be delaying them a little bit to maybe hit those items, so they might have to stay in their respective lanes a little bit more than they would like. But that is always going to be. The junglers are currently available towards the bottom side of the map, next to the scuttle, which Shyvana definitely wants to be able to get that. She wants to try and keep vision towards the Drake initially, even though he's going to be taken rather early, so he's not going to be there when the Drake spawns. But that's going to be uncontested for Andra Zed. He's going to pick that one up for himself. Yeah, I think overall, especially Shyvana here, not trying to go for the fight on top of that scuttle, I think it makes a lot of sense. As I mentioned, she's got a really good fast clear, but in terms of fighting early on, you don't want to do so. You want to try and get to that level 5, level 6 power spike, where she does slowly get in line, and you especially want to get those Drakes. As they're in the bottom side, great engage on top of Ibu. They're not able to hit the root. He gets the shield last second, and he will be able to stay alive. That was a close encounter, and Ibu now, for the next fight, does not have the barrier anymore, which that is something that for sure Singularity can use and abuse for themselves.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, the flash is still there, which is kind of the silver lining here, but not having the summoner spell is obviously something that people are going to look to take advantage of, as Redemption and Wonderful pushing on in, just getting a little bit of damage down, just trying to make sure that these minions get under the tower so that this wave will crash back into them. You don't want to let your opponents set up anything even resembling a freeze here in Wild Rift. And I'm really kind of keeping an eye on mid lane, because the whole point of what they did early on with the Xayah going to the Baron lane and having the Rakan kind of roam through the middle was all for the Twisted Fate. And so if Twisted Fate can stay even with the Aurelion Soul, I think then that play is worthwhile. And thus far he is. He's actually has a very slight gold lead, but here comes the TF ult.
Yeah, it's going to be trying to jump away. Teleport from the TF, as you said. He gets instantly melted, though. That's going to be Lee Sin out of commission. And TF is actually able to bring a lot to the table, Acolyte. And now Riz trying to run for their lives, which they should be able to do so pretty easily. And they will be able to survive the encounter. But yeah, that teleport from TF was very last second. I was a little bit scared for him. I thought he was going to get melted the instant he landed, which he did. But luckily enough, he did not die. And now he just got himself the Rod of Ages to get himself some more AP the longer the game goes on.
Yeah, the Rod of Ages stacks up fully within 5 minutes. So at 8 minutes and 30 seconds, that item will be at full power for the Twisted Fate. So I really like the Rod of Ages in Wild Rift because of the fact that it scales up so quickly. You get a stack of it every 30 seconds, and obviously caps out at 10 stacks. And so very strong item. It just gives you all the stats you could possibly want. As now there's going to be a little bit of a fight here, perhaps around this dragon spawning. It is the Ocean Drake for the first dragon of this game.
Yeah, trying to get initiated. Only Lee Sin and Braum going to be on it for the time being. The rest of the team should follow up for Team Queso. But yeah, it seems like they're just going to give it up. They don't want to potentially give away, especially because Shyvana has not got in a position where she can really take those fights early on, and seeing how aggressive Team Queso are, they're just going to give it away. I think that's good. Maybe it would have been a little bit better if they were able to just push a side lane, especially if you're on the top, or another position where they could actually get a little bit of an initiation. I'm mainly thinking of Fiora top lane. I think a shove on that wave would have been a really, really impactful to get extra few plates and some gold going their way, but they did not do so. But it is still not going to be too scary for them, as there's no gold lead whatsoever for any of these two teams. As Memorize going to be going for engaged.
Did Braum just take? Did he get? Yeah, Braum got it. Oh, that's upsetting for Fiora. Fiora was just sitting there fighting the Scuttle Crab. Braum walks up, throws his first ability, and steals it away from her.
Just popped last seconds. I didn't see that right away. Oh man, that's a bit. Like, you did not see yesterday. We had the Zenith tournament, and there was a big fight towards a Soul Drake. And actually, the Drake went down to 55 HP. Braum arrives, basic attacks, gets it. This is like the biggest F in the chat.
It's always fun to see. It's always fun to see like these small damage steals come through. Just because it's just so entertaining. I mean, there was a game actually just recently in LCS for PC League of Legends where an Ahri just walks up, throws or sorry, no, not LCS. I don't remember where did I see this? Somewhere. I saw it somewhere very recently where an Ahri just walks up, throws her orb over the wall, and steals Baron. Yeah, the low damage steals are always fun. Right now, it looks like it's going to be a lot of posturing up on this Baron lane for the side of Singularity. They want this turret. They're going to get the turret and can turn their attention to the Scuttle. But meanwhile, they're giving up their entire mid lane.
2 turrets instantly picked up. Team Queso, they are super happy. This is the best. Oh, they're actually big stonks for them. That's going to be the Glacial Fissure. Not going to be bringing too much, unfortunately, for the side of Team Queso. They are beating properly, though. Big damage coming out also from the TF. Going to hit a few targets. Trying to move away for a difference. So you're going to be trying to close that gap. They are rather low. This is a potentially a good fight coming out from the side of Singularity. Good engage coming out from Your Wonderful. Going to buy a lot of time. Is that going to be Acolyte going down? Does seem like that will be the case. He still got his ultimate available. So he's waiting for them to get closer and closer, but he's not going to pop it. If they went any further and known that the Malphite still had the ultimate, that would have been very scary for Singularity. And I think they understood that, like, we haven't seen the ultimate from this character, from this champion. We're just not going to test our luck. Or otherwise, that could have been a completely different fight going in favor of Team Queso.
Yeah, and I really like what Queso did there. Seeing that there were so many members on the top side of the map, they were going to be fully willing to just give up that Rift Herald because they were just storming down that mid lane. They got themselves grouped up and just said, hey, you can take that top outer, you can take the Rift Herald, we're just going to destroy everything. And they got both turrets in the mid lane, and now they get the Rift Herald on top of it as well. Great job by Queso.
If they use properly that Herald, this would be something very tricky to do because it's going to require them to find a lot in the next engage. If they play their cards correctly, get themselves an ace, they could potentially even look for a push and get the inhib turret. And if they get an inhib turret this early on in the game, it's going to bring so much natural pressure to that position, forcing recalls on a very regular basis for the entirety of Singularity. So, hey, gotta say, Team Queso playing their cards correctly, I do have to say. But now, Team Queso, what are you going to be doing on this one? You do not have a big gold lead, so in terms of fighting potential, it is really close. And there's only been one. Now, I just realized, actually, there's only one kill in the first 8 minutes. This is a very slow-paced game all around.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even say it's a slow-paced game because there's been a lot of turrets taken.
Just in kills,
it's just been a much more objective-focused game. The two teams have kind of been avoiding each other and just playing the map instead. So a lot of macro play going back and forth, and now Queso setting themselves up with this dragon. They do still have the Rift Herald. If they want to drop that to try and create a distraction, they are going to drop it in the bottom lane. So they're guaranteeing that they'll get at least something off of this with the Rift Herald going into this bottom turret. They back off of the dragon for now.
Oh,
I don't know
fantastic.
if they're just going to be looking for an opportunity to re-engage on the outside. They are.
Fantastic engage from the Malphite early on, but it seemed like this is going to be looking very, very bad for the side of Team Queso as the health bar are just getting melted to nothingness. Andres, Zed, and also Ibu will be able to make it out alive, but this is still not going to be making them happy. They're at least going to go for the re-engage. Your Wonderful's going to have to jump away from that one. Oh, there you go. The man is back. But what a good fight going away of Singularity got himself a good engage at the end, but it was somewhat of a trade-off. But Lee Sin is going to go for the Drake now, for the Cloud Drake solo, which, hey, you know what? They all recalling. This is the prime time to do so.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, that was just a really strong engage from the Malphite. but the rest of the team wasn't quite there to follow it up. They were able to do enough, though, in order to clear out the members of Singularity and grab themselves that Drake. So now 2 dragons for the side of Queso. Pair that with the 2 turrets they took in the mid lane and having each of the outer turrets down on the 2 side lanes as well. They are just playing objectives focused so well right now. And now looking to perhaps collapse onto this Fiora. Doesn't get anything with the riposte and could now be in some trouble.
Yeah, able to cleanse that CC. Pops the ulti onto Ruiz. Not too sure what that idea was, but you know what? She's going to die regardless. Doesn't matter what the hell happens. And now, going for the re-engage. Once again, that's going to be big from the Malphite on the backline. 3-man knock-up onto Singularity. Queso maybe making a comeback in his BO3 series. This fight was big, and they lose only the Malphite, which is a worthwhile trade. And the Baron currently be available. This is stonks going the way of Team Queso. This is big.
Yeah, absolutely huge for them. And again, just chasing down this Fiora. The Fiora ultimates have been fairly questionable throughout this game. A lot of times it's gone on to the Malphite, or in that situation, it's a unwinnable situation. So I get just throwing it out just, on a whim and hoping, maybe if your team kills that target in the follow-up, then they still get that heal. But that's just not working out right now for Singularity, as Queso has just been dominant in terms of the objective control. And now with Baron, and they can just look to split lanes, maybe look for some opportunities. They do need to be careful because, again, there is a lot of damage that can come onto them from the side of Singularity. But looking at the item builds, it's pretty much 2 items completed for 3 members of the side of Singularity. You've got 1.5 for the Fiora, and then the 1 and we'll call a quarter, I suppose, for the Rakan. But you look at the other side, and it's 2.5, or 2.25 for pretty much everybody on the side of Queso. They just have big item advantages with their gold lead, and that just makes it so difficult when you're a full item behind. Just the amount of damage output that you're able to do just does not compare.
It makes it impossible, especially in a 1v1 scenario, to be able to win those. 1 item difference is insanely big at this stage of the game, especially in 12 minutes. Team Queso already going to try their best to crack open the base, though. Going to be looking for the opportunity. Great 3-man charm. That was actually such a good engage coming out from Your Wonderful, but the team is not there to follow up, and now the damage is being dashed away of Team Singularity, and they are unfortunately going to regret that decision. That's going to be right away the Shyvana dropping on down, and now they are turning the tides of that fight back in their favor. I've got to say, what a good engage initially from Your Wonderful, but the team was not there. Big lack of miscommunication, and now they're just going to go for an extra double knockup. Acolyte does a great engage, and Team Queso, not only now do they find the fight and the tower, now they're going to go straight for the Nexus.
Yeah, this is going to be game 3. 4 members still down. It's only the Fiora. There's nothing that she can do. And Team Queso tie the series up. You called for it, Maxman. You said you wanted to see a game 3. Well, we've just happened. The rest of the team is going to be able. It'll happen at times when the rest of the team is able to follow it up.
I feel so sad, really, for Your Wonderful. That Rakan engage once again was so clean. I was like, yes, that's good.